Hi, and welcome to the bonus episode of the Cabinet Con entitled Vix, Dicks, and Legits. I'm your host, Kyle O'Donnell. Today is Friday, April 29th, 2022, and our next regularly scheduled episode will be released on Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. To skip this intro and get right into the episode, skip forward to about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. For this bonus episode, I'm calling the victims of Robert Stoll's crimes. I'm also calling Michael McKay's ex-girlfriend, and I'm also calling a cabinet company that stepped in and rescued several of Robert Stoll's victims after he'd stolen their money and even destroyed parts of their homes. In so doing, I actually stumbled on several guests that I never in a million years expected to be a part of this case. These include a convicted child sex predator and an undercover law enforcement official. Full disclosure, I don't actually call the child sex predator. I found out that he was one before I called, and I just sort of left that one alone. Moving on to the detective. Detectives are colloquially known in the force as dicks. That's spelled D-I-C-S for those cheeky folks out there with minds in the gutter. And it is for this reason that I'm calling this episode Vix, Dicks, and Legits. Vix being the victims, dicks being detectives, and legits being the cabinet companies that are, in fact, legitimate in the Pensacola area. Two quick announcements. Number one, I've been posting a lot of my insider details to my personal Instagram account. I haven't mentioned this a lot in previous episodes, but I can be found on Instagram and pretty much everything else I do on social at Kyle O'Donnell. It's the same as my Twitter, my YouTube, my Odyssey, and a couple other things. So if you've been following along there, go ahead and find my Instagram and add that to your social intake for this show. Along with mugshots, court paperwork, and graphics for the podcast, you'll also see portraiture and landscape photography that I've taken all over the world. You might not know this about me, but I'm a former travel show host where we released more than 30 episodes from 43 countries on 4 continents. So head over and check that out. You might enjoy that as well. Announcement number 2, it's official. I've spoken with Angela Bott at her home in Pensacola and Robert Stoll at his home in the Escambia County prison system. Angela Bott's interview will be the next regularly scheduled episode for this show, followed by Stoll's interview to close out this investigation. So stay tuned until the end of this episode where I'll play a snippet of those interviews. By voluntarily continuing to consume this and all other media released by Legally Insane Films LLC, you're agreeing to the terms and conditions outlined at legallyinsanefilms.com/privacy. As this is a bonus episode, there will be no quiz for this week, but you're always welcome to send comments and questions, any other ideas at all actually, to thejusticepod@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter at Kyle O'Donnell or at justice_pod for all the updates. My tweets are protected for obvious reasons, so your request to follow must be approved. Just some background on this episode. We've heard from a few of the victims, but what about all the others? What of my attempts to call jails and cabinet companies and all the other witnesses in the case? That's what this bonus episode is all about. I didn't want to get all the way through the season and not send this out there. I think this episode will be valuable for those who are deeply interested in the backstories of all of those folks. So without further ado, on to the show. All right, so I'm on the way to calling several of the victims. The first victim I looked up is dead. The best I can find is an obituary for him, which is unfortunate. But there were 3 or 4 victims that died before seeing justice. So next up on the list is Althea.
We're sorry.
Okay, now I'm calling Blake.
We're sorry.
Okay, next up is a lady named Grace.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Okay, next one I'm reaching out to is Kathy.
We're sorry. We're sorry you have reached a number that has been disconnected.
Hi, you've reached Tiffany. Sorry I missed your call.
Moving on. So Judy, who is listed as one of the victims, is deceased. So that's another one. Moving on. Janice. Boom. Got a phone number.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Hi, this message is for Veronica. My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a documentary filmmaker and an investigative journalist. All right.
We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or...
So 1, 2, 3 out of 5 numbers are disconnected, and 1 sent me to their voicemail.
Calling the office of Jason.
Please leave a message and he'll be back with you shortly.
I don't talk to strangers on the phone. I've learned. I'm sorry. If you want to contact us in any way, you could do it in writing to the mailbox. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, next up on the list is a lady named Regina. Not even going through. All right, let's try another one.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Okay, so Regina did not answer, but her voicemail said it was her. So I'm pretty sure I got the right lady. Left a message for her. Moving on to a man named Angus. At least I hope it's a man.
Hello.
Hi, is this Angus?
It is.
Hi, Angus. My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a journalist and a documentary filmmaker. I'm doing a story about a guy named Robert Stoll, who, as I understand it, defrauded you of some kitchen stuff. Is that true? Have I got the right guy?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to you. Sorry you had to go through all that. I was curious to find out what actually happened to you. I've heard some horror stories from some of the other victims. What did he actually do with you?
Sir, I am actually at a ball game at the present moment.
Okay.
And, our grandson's playing ball. And I don't have a problem talking to you, but I'm going in for surgery tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So if you can give me a call back and say like the first of next week, I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
I'll do that, sir. I appreciate it. And good luck with your surgery.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Hi.
Speaking.
Hi, my name is Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a documentary filmmaker and an investigative journalist, and I'm doing a story on a man named Robert Stoll, who, as I understand it, defrauded you and about 15 other people of a whole bunch of money recently. Have I got the right guy?
You do.
All right. First of all, I wanted to let you know my heart goes out to you. I've been speaking to several other victims, and this guy really did a lot of damage around the Pensacola area. I was curious what kind of damage he caused, and what his story is in your life as your paths crossed.
He basically is just with us a con. He operated a business, claimed to have been in the cabinet business, flooring business, both in installation and sales. And he comes out and he does his measurements and gives a quote, and you think you're dealing with an honest person, and he never orders it and never calls back. That simple.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I don't mean to get too personal. You could tell me this isn't a question you're comfortable with, but how much did he actually get from you?
About $5,000.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Mine was fairly simple. I was watching the materials to renovate the house myself. He was simply going to order it for me, have it delivered. I paid him full price.
Oh.
Because he promised me he would have it delivered fairly quickly at a certain time. I can't remember how many days it was. He claimed it was with his order. Mine's clear cut and simple. It wasn't one of those heart-wrenching stories like these little old ladies that people tell.
Right. Were you able to put your house back together? I'm sorry, were you able to complete whatever you wanted to do in your kitchen?
No, that and lots of other projects. No, that set me back quite a few months.
Right, okay. Well, the reason I asked that is one of the things that I'm doing is, if it's successful, I can't make any promises or anything like that, but one of the things that my production company is attempting to do is create a crowdfunding campaign to get some money together to get you to that place. And so I guess my next question is, are you willing to be a part of that?
I would love for you to take care of some of these other victims that be ripped off real well. I'm okay. I'm still working. Con men are con men. They do it to anybody. They don't care.
I'm reaching out to Mr. Stoll in prison, and mostly because we actually think the con is ongoing. I reached out to this man's former company that's supposed to have been dissolved because he's the owner of it, and they're responding to me. They're actually, I believe, still running it. And I even think I know the individual who's running it, who has a long history of fraud in Ohio, and he's gotten sued successfully in Kentucky as well. Do you know anything about what might be ongoing? You don't have any?
No, I personally, I don't. The state, actually, the county investigator that took it, and oddly enough, it wasn't just a burglary or robbery investigator. They handed it over to the agriculture guys because it was that large, and forgive the agriculture title for that, but they were handling a lot of those big money cases. And he expressed something to that effect, that the key player was much bigger than Stoll. Stoll's and his brother-in-law and sister's issue, in my opinion, it was just narcotics based. That's all. They were taking the money as soon as they got it, purchasing narcotics and using it. I don't know where else the other money went, but that other player may have been using him for his cons. I think there was one big one in Gulf Breeze where he ripped off a development company. Again, I don't know all the details, and I wanted to stay out of it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's probably a pretty smart move now that it's got so many layers. And I would agree. I think that it really was an addiction issue, mostly because the man shows he's, my local sources there. I'm not even in Florida, but my local sources there tell me he's in this trailer with holes in it. It looks like it's been through storms, and he never did anything about it. And he shows up and doesn't even have. He was given a court-appointed attorney.
Any money that they got, they used quickly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, nothing to show for
it. If you have any insights, I doubt anything was going to come up now that you're on the wake, the tail end of it. But if anything comes up, please keep my number and feel free to reach out. I don't foresee this going on too long before I finalize my outreach. But I am calling Stoll in jail, and so if you have any questions for him, I doubt you do. But
No, I think as a reporter, you might get some results while he's clean and sober. I don't know if it's soon enough yet, or what benefits he's deriving from either his brother-in-law or his wife or this other guy. It's always information, as you know, is always a matter of motivation. So. Right. He's clean and sober and he's repentant, yeah, he's going to tell you stuff. But if he still has contact with those other folks, good luck.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that he doesn't, because that would then sort of step on the lines. I'm hoping to not cross before that time. So my clandestine activities need to kind of be packed into a 3-day window, I think.
I got you. So, I think he was probably the weakest link in terms of any influence with the rest of the folks. They were a little more aggressive than him. He was the smooth talker. He was the salesman.
Speaking of that, I have another name. I think that Michael McKay was involved. He's the guy from Ohio, and he was dating a girl named Dozier. Now, since this time, in fact, McKay has been indicted. Not just indicted, I think he actually was found guilty of violating the parole, that he had defrauded an elderly lady. I think it's actually a felony as a result of that. I think Florida has different laws on that, elderly folks. And this girl, I believe, was dating McKay and has since moved since that indictment. And he's supposed to be going to not a hearing, but a sentencing on the 24th. You haven't heard that name, have you, Dozier?
No, I can't. If I did, it just doesn't even jog my memory.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that if she cut and ran as a result of she might be a safe source. So, but I was hoping that you could confirm that. All right, cool. Well, I'm sorry to bug you about this. I don't mean to dredge up bad memories, but I appreciate you talking to me and giving me some information.
No, life happens, and I can handle it a lot better than some of those poor elderly folks.
Right.
For sure, that's terrible.
Well, I'm glad you're weathering that particular storm well.
I can still work, so I'm good to go, brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again.
No worries. Have fun with your article.
Yeah, we'll do. Take care.
All right, bye.
Okay, next one I'm reaching out to is Kathy.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in...
Well, Kathy is 68, so might be Kathy's no longer with us, like a few of the other ones. Well, they answered, then they hung up, then they wouldn't take my call again. That is a product of telemarketing. It's so ridiculous what telemarketers have done to people in the United States. I don't even answer calls I don't know anymore because you just can't tell if they're friggin' telemarket idiots trying to scam you out of money. It's ridiculous. All right, on to the next one.
Hi, you've reached Tiffany. Sorry I missed your call.
Moving on from Tiffany on to Kathy.
We're sorry. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected. We're sorry.
I'm about 5 names in. Let's see. I got one I connected with already. That's Bia, or B. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names so far have all turned up numbers that are disconnected, unreachable, otherwise unreachable. Let's try that.
Hi, this is Edie. Leave me a message and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so I just looked up, and he is a registered sex offender. I'm not sure I want to reach out to this one. Wow, what do I do about that? What do I do?
Sex offenders need cabinets too.
Oh no, he totally looks like a sex offender. Pensacola man is accused of a sexual battery of a 17-year-old boy he met on a gay social media app, according to authorities. Was charged with sexual battery of a minor and a second-degree felony for the incident on Sunday. So it turns out that one of the victims of this cabinet con is a gay sexual predator. So here's an ethical question. You still working? The ethical question is not whether or not he deserves justice. Do I, if this thing gets funded, right, and the victims come together, the story that I'm doing is going to reveal all of this stuff. Do I then bring him around the other victims?
People might, if they look into it or the crowdfunding or something, or kind of look into who the people are and they see something like that, if they'd be like, I don't want to donate money for some sicko that did blah, 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 whatever.
I'm going to leave that one. It's an ethical conundrum for me. I don't want to involve other victims in something they could potentially be tied to, right? And I certainly I agree. I don't think anybody's going to donate to a cause with a sexual predator benefiting from that cause. So I'm going to leave that one out. Next.
Sucks because he was put into the same situation as them, but because of his past dealings, it's risky business dealing with them.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Moving on. So Judy, who is listed as one of the victims, is deceased. So that's another one. Moving on. Janice. Boom. Got a phone number.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Calling the office of Jason. Please leave a message and he'll be back with you shortly.
Hi, this message is for Veronica. My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a documentary filmmaker and an investigative journalist. Yeah, can't find her. Next one, I guess.
Hello, it's Roy.
Hi, Roy. My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm actually an investigative journalist, and I'm doing a story on a man named Robert Stoll. And I just got done looking at some paperwork that provided me with a pretty egregious story. Said that he was stealing money from customers and stuff. I don't mean to interrupt your day, and I can call you back at a different time or a better number or something like that. But would you be willing to talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to say the poor guy. He kind of knew what he was doing. He worked for us for a short while, and then we found out after he had taken money here that he didn't come back in. I think he knew he was caught.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a call when we reported Sheriff's Department, he's got this such and such pending, that I think they only listed him for like 80,000-90,000, but they had originally told us he had embezzled like 120 grand out of people, out of seniors and folks on fixed income.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
So he ended up getting, I don't know what just desserts are, but he got some time served, which is basically us. He didn't really get all of it, but they gave him time served in the county for what he did here. Then he's got 10 years in the Department of Corrections plus another 20 or 25 years probation once he gets out for them. No, 20 years with them, and then 5 years after that for us. So he's got like 25 years of probation once he gets out in 10 years.
Yeah.
The Judge Kinsey was very fair and very nice.
I heard that. The investigation that I've done just keeps going and going and going. I thought it was a very simple case when I actually stumbled onto this case from a friend of mine who happens to be one of the victims, and I normally would never have heard about it or done a case investigation on it, but yeah, it happened close to home, so to speak, and so I got more involved in it, and it turns out that he was had a business relationship with another man who has gone on to defraud people in the same type of business and other things. Have you ever heard him use the name Michael McKay?
No, I have not.
No.
But I did hear that he had I heard that in the court hearing that he had a partner in another business.
Yeah.
And I think it's being challenged by the prosecution.
Yeah.
I think he kind of sidestepped it somehow. Answering.
What did he end up getting from your customers, if you don't mind?
It's our fault. He just really bamboozled us and told us all this great stuff. So it was the owner hired him, and he, smoothed the owner, and he hired him without running a background on it.
Right.
So find out that gave him a assistant manager position, so he had a lot of authority to lock up, to open up, be here by himself, have access to people's money. So he would I think he took 2 cars that were traded in and tried to write it up to hide it like they weren't trade-in. So he stole 2 cars and sold them. Got caught by the county on one of them.
Wow.
And then he was taking people. We don't do buy here, pay here, very little of it. But he was taking just about like every other payment. They'd pay $300. He would write it in the books that they paid $100 and put $200 in his pocket, that kind of stuff.
And so obviously he was going to get found out, right? I mean, that's not a very solid plan, and all the customer has to do is come in the next time and say, "Hey, I thought I paid you this much." How did he explain that?
Well, no, I heard in the court. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you had access to court records, I thought he made mention that some kind of drugs or something. He was doing drugs. And I hear that a lot. People blame it on, it was my drug dependency. That's why I did that. Right.
No, yeah. No, I was actually talking about how did he, I mean, I'm assuming he didn't get caught on the first or second one, but I mean, eventually that's.
Oh, no. It just, I'd have customers come in and say, hey, I never got, I was looking at my paperwork and I was dealing with this guy, Robert, and he didn't write my car on here. And I don't actually see where I got a trade-in value, where it came off the value of my, the car I bought.
Right.
And I'd look it up and go, well, what are you talking about? I don't see anything. I'm looking through the whole folder. What did you trade in? And they would tell me, and I go, I don't see anything. And they say, well, I actually did. I traded in such a vehicle. And I gave him the title. which was a mistake. It's kind of like giving letting a drug addict work in the pharmacy, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
So it didn't go well. So we didn't catch until late in the game.
Oh.
And we were still catching them. And I think when he got wind that we had to. We found out that he was defrauding our customers. We had to call the sheriff's department. There's no if, and, or but.
Right.
So we got them called, and I think he got wind of it and decided just to stay home. And what I understood was that the frauding he did on these people, the state was not able to pursue anything because it was civil. It wasn't until they got us involved, then they could bring it into the limelight.
Okay.
That's what I understood. So they weren't going to be able, it was all going to be civil, and I think he was hiding behind that. He screwed up when he committed felonies here.
Yeah. Because up till then, he would have just had like judgments against him and things.
That's right. And he had a good lawyer. I think it was his wife just kept bailing out money, and he had a good lawyer. Kept getting out. And finally, I think they said no bond.
Yeah. Do you have it? I know what the records say. I'd have to pull it up on my phone, but do you guys have an estimate of how much between the two cars and the stolen deposits?
I think it was somewhere around 12.5 or so.
Wow. And what was the period of time that like first to last when that started?
I don't think he was here that long. Maybe he was here 6 months.
Oh, okay. He got right to work, didn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we'll get compensation in about 25 years. 30 years actually.
Isn't that a shame the way that works?
Yeah, after he does his 10 years, and he's got 20 years probation to pay back these people he defrauded. Then after that, he has 5 years probation to pay us back.
Yeah.
Or 12.5, 12 something.
Well,
so,
I'm not sure if you're aware of his other victims, but one of his victims was a realtor, right? Who deals with cabinets and things like that, and the other one was a cop. The other person I'm talking about. So the more I hear about his victims, the more I realize he really must be smooth, right? Like, what did he say in order to get an assistant manager position?
I don't know what he told Yuri, but he obviously said he had the experience and he knew how to deal with people. But then he was, we don't hire salesmen, but he had that salesman-y attitude. It's like, for example, I'd have a car here. I mean, we only have. My cars are nice. We pick through, if we're going to get one. So, to say if I had a car here that we knew it had rust on the rotors because we're close to the bay and our brake rotors get surface rust on them. So
yeah.
We had to drive a quarter of a mile to burn it off. So, customer would drive it. Instead of just telling the truth, he would make up a concocted story. He would say, oh, well, that is the gravel crunching. Actually, that is how sound coming under the wiper blades makes. What? I'll be like, man, don't tell the customer that kind of silly stuff, man. Just tell them the truth. And if the car had a history where, maybe a front bumper was bashed, oh, no, this car is perfect condition. Never been in an accident. Maybe a scratch. And I went out there with my finger and spit and rubbed it right off. Let's stop the story. Just tell them the truth and show them the pictures that we got it from auction. We're okay with that. Oh, no, I can't do that. Well, that's what we're going to do. You're going to show them the picture where there was a dent in the door, and replace the whole door. You're not going to make up these crazy stories. Customers are smart. They have, the internet. They can check it out themselves.
Yeah.
Punch in the VIN number for a car. And a lot of times it'll show you a picture of the car before, while it was at auction or something. So, can't do that. So, that was his personality, and we didn't know. I mean, personally, before I found out he was scamming us, I helped him. He gave me a story about a car. I sold him a car I had, and next thing I know, he didn't even have the title. He sold it to somebody else without a title, and still owed me money. So that one, they told me I'd have to take him to civil court, and I just said, I forget it.
Yeah.
When's that going to happen? 30 years from now?
Right. Yeah, it'll probably be on the statute of limitations at that point anyway.
That's right.
You know, this might surprise you to find out, but when I reached out, I'm actually trying to get him in like he's in prison, obviously, you know that. I've been trying to talk to him, and the warden, or his case handler, I should say, went and got it approved, right? And then so they asked Stoll if he wanted to talk to me. He said yes. He actually does want to tell me his side of the story. And then within probably 45 minutes of confirming that, his wife actually reached out to me and found me on Facebook and just sent me the most bizarre email. And I figured you'd be interested to know that his wife doesn't know anything about not any of it, but most of it. She, I think, wrote a letter or something to the courts, and she mentioned that in her email. She basically has been either lied to by this man or she's in on it. I can't figure out which is which, but she just thinks that he's the victim of circumstance, that he, like he had a bad lawyer, I don't think she has any idea. You're talking about intention. Like you had to actually call him out on his lies. I don't think he either convinced her that he never lied once and he meant to do good and he never meant to get, this far deep or blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the case is, but he has convinced her of that, or she's in on it. That's the only two things. So did he ever like bring his wife in or anything like that? And
No, well, I've talked to her. Well, that's not totally true. I've got an email. I think she was aware of some of it. She actually had emailed or texted the owner here, I'm the manager, about that car I had sold. And she goes, I think Robert has sold that car. Even though she knew that he owed me money on it. So she was aware that he defrauded me. And I think she was a little embarrassed, but that was it. I remember hearing in court, I think the defense, was a appointed defense attorney that, I think read a letter from her saying that he was a, good man, and please don't take him. He supports our family and pays our bills, and I don't work, and we're going to be hurting if he goes to jail or prison or something. So I think she was aware to a degree. I don't think fully aware that how much he had defrauded people. I mean, I think, and I remember being told it was a lot more money. So, but I think only what they could prove, or only the people that came forward. I think it was about $40,000 worth of it. People just, were so embarrassed they got defrauded or something.
Right.
They don't want to come, or so angry or whatever.
Yeah.
So they only got on paper $80,000 worth of the fraud.
Right.
But what made it work was mostly people, single moms or people on a fixed income.
Right. Yeah, and I've spoken to some of those. Some of them have heartbreaking stories. One lady has had to do her dishes in her bathtub because he cut her pipes.
I heard that one. Yes.
So yeah. In total, you don't think your impression of his wife? You don't think she's actually in on it, do you? You think she's just probably wishful thinking? He's a good guy or something.
No, think about it, man. When you have some people have a tendency to. I don't know what word I want to use here, but
blinders.
Enable people to stay in there and make excuses for loved ones.
Right.
They don't want to think the worst of their loved one. I've got friends that have a daughter that has messed up 2 or 3 times, and she's finishing up a stint in the DOC. And of course, the mom thinks, "Oh, she did mess up, but she'll do better next time she gets out." Well, she will. She changes her environment,
Yeah.
But and it's just that enabling, and the whole time I think the mom's been dumping money into the prison account so that she can have snacks, and has bought her a tablet. I didn't know you were allowed to have that in prison. With internet. I didn't know that.
I didn't. Yeah, that seems a little like a vacation.
It sure does. But hey, and hear about it. And I know people in in Pensacola, it's not hard to find somebody, addictions, and that it owns them, and they're going to everybody to get whatever they can to keep their addiction going, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Common in Pensacola, unfortunately. So I see it a lot, especially in employees. We hire so many. Oh my gosh, rarely do they not have some sort of an addiction that we found out. And always the mother or the brother or the sister always has a story. Oh, they were abused. Oh, we were poor. Oh, there's always a story, man. So
right.
That's the same thing. I bet you his wife loves him, and he obviously supported his family just immorally. And I think she knew and maybe just looked the other way on some of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, not only because she reached out, but because I found out that one of his LLCs was actually taken out in her name, and that.
Oh, no.
So, it could still be a situation where like he talked her into it or something, but it could also potentially be involvement. So I just figured I'd ask what you thought there.
Yeah. I think she seemed like a smart lady. So deep down, if she were to be honest with herself, she might know he was doing wrong, but because she loved him, she probably just looked the other way.
Yeah.
And hoped he would do better.
Right on.
That's my take.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking time today to talk about it. Is there anything else I should know about the case, your involvement with it, his involvement with Car Bazaar or anything like that?
No, I just know that they, I don't know if it's the judge or the prosecutor that made a statement that he was not to communicate with us once he got out at all.
Huh.
So that wasn't us asking him not to. They just didn't want him talking to us.
Right. Other than to get you money, obviously.
And we won't see that. I mean, the way they said it, it'll be like 30 years before we start getting a payment of like $80 a month or something like that.
Which in 20 years, a coffee will probably cost $80. So.
Yes, right. A cup of coffee be $80.
Yeah. Free cup of coffee every month.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we'll get. So hey, that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, I do appreciate your insights on this. If you're interested in seeing where this goes, I mean, how can I get you some links?
We had to kind of clean up, the spills on aisle 9 that he left behind. So
right.
We had to, build customers' trust that got defrauded. We had to give them credit, so we lost money.
Well, just talking to you, just listening to you talk about how you kind of schooled him in saying all you have to do is be honest with the customer. We're not trying to hide anything. I mean, that just when I hear that, it makes me think, well, you guys are clearly trying to, sidestep the used car reputation, the dealership, all that stuff. So, and it's hard to deal with anyway.
Oh, it already is, man. People, because we don't hire salesmen. We're a cash lot. My cars are sold at discounted prices because I deal mostly with big banks and credit unions.
Mm-hmm.
Like USAA. I can't have fraud here. I can't be trying to sell some junk. I'll lose that account in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
They's a big finance company.
Right.
Navy Federal, same way. They even had wind that we were doing, some kind of dishonest business. They'd drop us in a heartbeat.
Right.
So I can't have that. So I was always trying to correct him. So I'm shocked. I'll just say this: I wouldn't be shocked to hear the stories he may have told customers when I wasn't here or when Yuri wasn't here.
Is there? And I don't mean to solicit any of that from you, but if you have customers that have any particularly good story, can I give you my number and you can give it to them and they can feel free to reach out to me?
That's yeah, I know a couple, maybe. I don't know if I don't even know how many. I think maybe 1 or 2 showed up to court.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Well, I'm at the gathering phase right now, so the more I can get, the more I can put into the insights for the investigation.
Yeah, I mean, it's public record. If you'd like to, whatever I gave to the county and the sheriff's department, I probably have copies, and it would have people's names and numbers. It's public record. It might save you a few steps.
Okay.
And it would be up to you if you wanted to contact them.
All right. If you and I'm happy to look that up. I don't I'm still I'm at the beginning phase of this, but I'm also traipsing into the other part of the investigation. If you happen to stumble upon that file, you'll get an email from me today anyway. Just reply to that with whatever you got. I'm happy to include my phone number in there as well. So if you can connect me with any of the victims who are interested in, getting their story out there, maybe I find. I mean, every time I call somebody, I find out something new and kind of mind-boggling about his efforts. So.
Oh yeah. I think I had to enclose a phone number and full name on any of the victims.
Yeah.
Since I do not remember. I don't remember the sheriff's department or anybody telling me you can't share this with anybody else because it's public record.
Well, a lot of it's redacted. I don't know what I'll find on the files when I look, but a lot of it, they do cut out personal contact info. Yeah.
Well, I mean, all it would take is, they didn't ask me not to do anything. I mean, the guy was a dirty scoundrel, gave our company a black eye. And I was feeling kind of depressed. I was thinking maybe he didn't get enough punishment.
Mm-hmm.
I think he started crying in the court and then had a temper tantrum with his, free legal, defense there.
You're saying he was the one who cried in court?
Yeah, he had a temper tantrum. You see his eyes got all wet.
Huh.
Man, he got off easy. I remember talking to the lawyers on the prosecution. They're saying it's possible he could get 30 years or somewhere around there. When he got 10 years, he got off easy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you even get time off for good behavior anymore. I don't know if that. I think that still works. I think he could probably do 80% of that, be out in 8 years.
Yeah. I think it is something like that actually in Florida.
Kind of sucks that he got all these people and left them. I mean, like you say, that took somebody's whole kitchen. The lady had to wash dishes in her bathtub.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and that's just
I
one of.
I wanted to go into my bank account and get her some cabinets.
Right, and you should hear these people. They're the sweetest, nicest people in the world, and like you said, fixed income. There was a disabled veteran in there. There's people that can't afford this stuff.
I know.
When I looked up his background check, he's since 1997. He and I are actually the same age. I think we're about 6 months apart. We both graduated high school the same year, 1997, and that was his first time. He actually has a court record from 97 as a defendant. And he has, and I'm not kidding you, 32 times he's been a defendant between now and 97.
What? No way.
Yeah, he was a career con. I think the judge looked at that and said, "You're not getting 2 years for this. You're getting 10 or whatever she gave him, and then 25 years to pay him back because we're done."
Yeah. And the minute he misses the payment, from what we understand, he'll be right back in there.
Right. Yeah. I think I heard from another one of the victims that she laid it out. She was like, I will put the strictest of concerns here. I probably won't be the judge at that time, but if you're, whoever looks back on this case, you mess up once and then you're going to pay for it. So.
That's right. So if he's got 20 years probation plus another 5, if he screws up on any of it, he'll just go ahead and do the other 20 and then the 5.
Right.
But I mean, how despicable to do that to people, to anybody.
Yeah.
He's not Robin Hood, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the worst part, as you kind of mentioned, is that he didn't even do anything with the money. He just smoked it.
Yeah, man, that's it. He's a dope fiend of sport.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it better. It's not an excuse. I think they gave him some leeway because of that. Really, that's sucked, but because it was part of it was drug addiction. So that's a common thing. Oh, if it's drug addiction, you won't get punished as much. Okay. Wow.
It's a disease, don't you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's probably why you got probation. For 25 years of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. Hey man, so I'll dig up some stuff. I stay pretty busy in here, but you've got my email. Send me an email, and I'll dig up what I can and send it to you.
I'll do that. Thanks again, sir. I appreciate it. Have yourself a good afternoon.
Hey man, thank you.
Okay.
Enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, you too.
Right,
bye. All right, so that was Roy. He was the manager of the Car Bazaar. I was a little bit surprised to find out the extent of that. And every time I talk to somebody since having interacted with Angela Bott, Robert Stoll's wife, I find out something even more kind of conniving. You know, I'm really still on the fence about whether or not she was involved, right? Every time somebody tells me she's an intelligent lady, I'm thinking, all right, she doesn't pretend to be an intelligent lady. She doesn't write with, the $5 words and everything on her Facebook messages to me. Was she in on this, or is she just a person that love blinds her and gives her those rose-colored glasses? I don't know. We'll find out soon enough when I speak to her, or maybe we won't find out, but we will certainly have more insights on that. Thanks to Roy. I'm going to go ahead and include something in here that I was impressed again by the type of person that comes out of this. I may be getting the best of the personalities when I call these people that they're open, they're willing to talk, they're willing to sort of, prop up their side. All of that may be true. But every time I talk to somebody that was a good enough person that they took a chance on him, either in his business or giving him a job, he still turned around and nailed them. That's my takeaway from this conversation. Okay, so this investigation has evolved several times into several different things. The story remains the same. It just gets a little bigger and a little crazier. It's actually changed the entire direction of what I'm even doing with the podcasts as a whole, because it's really kind of taken on an advocacy role of its own. So, give you the timeline. I first started the podcast in order to continue my advocacy work in the wake of the release of my latest film, Big Trouble in Little Quartzsite. And that moved to interviewing somebody that I know about a scam that hit her and 15 other victims. Then we found out there was a huge success, and we found out that the legal team, the prosecutors that worked on the case, the law enforcement agencies, and the investigators that worked on the case, the Better Business Bureau that worked on the case, as well as all the victims that came together in sought justice for the case, won a huge victory. So that makes this a huge story, right? That then turned into something where I said, well, maybe I can. They had a criminal conviction, which makes it a victory in the eyes of justice, and that's great. We celebrate that. We celebrate the good work of the officers, the investigators, the Better Business Bureau, the prosecuting attorneys. Hannah and Tom did a phenomenal job on that. We love that the victims came together and celebrated their victory in court, but they are not whole. And for the next 8 years, they won't even start to be paid back yet, right? They won't even have any money coming back from the nearly six figures that was taken from them during the scope of the con, which I think is still ongoing. That brings us up to about the halfway point. Well, I'm hoping like 75% of the way done with this thing, the mostly done point in this investigation. It's taken quite a while to get here, and I am hopeful that in the next phase of this thing, where it's evolved now, I'm hoping that we can also create a crowdfunding campaign and get these guys the cabinets that they bought, that they paid for, and that were scammed out of, for which they were scammed. To do that, I'm starting to put together the pieces of not only the crowdfunding campaign, I'm redoing the entire show into a succinct sort of collection of shows that is easily digestible by both the media and visitors and would-be donors of the crowdfunding campaign and other people in the community of the Escambia County area. That brings us up to the call I'm about to make right now. I am going to start calling cabinet companies in the Escambia County area to see if they will, in exchange for, like, say, advertising on this podcast, donate their time, materials if they have them, hardware if they have it, and get these people made whole. Several of the victims have already had their kitchens put back together. Micah, for instance, is one of those. I'm going to try to get money for all of that stuff put together. But also I ran into a problem when I started looking up the companies to call. The first thing I found was Wholesale Cabinet Group LLC in Pensacola. That's the first thing that came up when I searched Pensacola cabinet companies. And that cabinet company, if you've been paying attention to the show, is not only owned by Michael McKay, but it's also authorized. The authorized member is named, I won't reveal his name just yet, but there's an authorized member, and the LLC is owned by Michael McKay. So then I started thinking, well, what if I call around to all these companies and one of them happens to be another one of his, because he owns several, and so does Robert Stoll. And I don't know yet who Robert Stoll may have been or allegedly was working with prior to his conviction. So that leaves me with the other question. I reached out to Micah, who gave me because she had since had her cabinets put back in her house. She paid another company. She sent me their details. And in a moment, I'm going to go ahead and call them, inform them of the situation, and see if they can actually get me in contact with other reputable companies in the area so that I can avoid stepping on that ground, so to speak, that potentially exposes the effort of doing this. I have not interviewed Michael McKay yet. I have not spoken to Robert Stoll yet, though I have made contact with his caseworker. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to write a short script, and then I'm going to call the company called Cabinets Direct. Cabinets Direct is the one company that Micah worked with. And she told me that they actually heard about this scam with Robert Stoll. So we're going to come right back. We're going to make that call, and we'll see what happens. See what we can generate in terms of attention to this issue. Obviously, I want to share the good names of cabinet companies out there who are willing to help in this effort, help their neighbors put their lives back together and their homes. And yeah, in exchange for that, we'll hopefully be able to announce them on the crowdfunding campaign, through the news media, if we can get launched through that. All kinds of different options that we have to help these guys help their neighbors in the Escambia County area. So I'll be right back, and I'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call Cabinets Direct. These guys are my first call. They're the ones that helped out Micah put her kitchen back together, and we'll just see how this call goes.
You have reached Cabinets Direct in Pensacola, Florida. For the cabinet department, please dial 1. For the paint department, Cabinets Direct is Mike.
Hi, Mike. My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I'm a documentary filmmaker and a journalist, and my production label, Legally Insane Film, is actually releasing a podcast and potentially a short documentary series on a cabinet scam that was circulating around the Escambia County area. The con artist responsible for, at least in part, this scam has been convicted, and he's currently serving a 10-year sentence. But he left more than a dozen victims without kitchen cabinets that they paid for, and in some cases their bathrooms and kitchens were destroyed, in the wake of this.
This happened about 4 or 5 years ago, didn't
it? The start of it was a couple, I want to say 2.5, 3 years ago, which you're probably thinking of the same one. You guys actually helped one of these victims, and this victim is of particular interest to me because I grew up with her, and she's the one who turned me onto the story. So we decided to release the story on that because there were so many victims. It was actually a huge success for the prosecution. It was a huge success for the law enforcement that helped out.
He had a lot of elderly clients that he did that to.
Yeah. We were going to start a media campaign for this and try and get not only some news media coverage, but also some funding together to help these victims put their kitchens and bathrooms back together. And we were wondering if you were interested in being part of that. We would, of course, give you an exclusive interview and give you some time on the show. We would even run a commercial for you if you're interested.
I don't really think I want to get involved with that.
Okay.
I tell you what, Doug is the one that actually dealt with most of, and we had like 4 or 5 of those people all come to the showroom door at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Doug's the one that dealt with most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I give you his voicemail, and you just leave him a message, and we can go from there.
Well, there's a lot to say. Is there any way you could just give him my number and have him call me when he's ready?
I'll give you his voicemail because we don't really do paper messages.
Oh, okay.
And then we go from there, man.
Oh,
So
and Doug is in your company, correct?
that is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
he's one of the owners.
When these other victims came to you, how long ago was that?
I'd have to go. I'd say 3 or 4 years ago. I'd have to get names to look it up.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Gotcha. Well, I'm happy. I haven't spoke with every single victim, so I'm happy to hear that some of them did end up getting made whole. End up being made whole. I can't talk today.
Yeah.
Is there what would be standing in your way of helping out with this? I'm not asking. If you have materials to donate, fine. Really, just kind of looking for time, and we could potentially get money together to pay you for it. What could I do to make it easier for you to get involved in this?
I tell you what. Man, the problem is I just don't have time to take on anything extra. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Kyle O'Donnell. I don't think this would happen right now, right? Well, like we have to do the media campaign. It's going to be a podcast launch. I'm also potentially doing a short documentary series on this that could end up on the New York Times op doc list. So if you did get exposure, it would be pretty huge. I'm not trying to overwork you, but if this thing takes off like some of my previous projects have, it would be a good idea. And I'll tell you the other reason that I'm calling you specifically. I was going to reach out to a bunch of cabinet companies in your area, but I immediately ran into a problem that is going to be hard to overcome. And part of my investigation has revealed that this guy that's currently in jail, he was working with a partner, and that partner has several cabinet company cons that I think are still happening. So we're kind of still in the investigation part of that. And I don't know who to call without tipping this guy off to our investigation. So,
His name wouldn't be Brian, would it?
I don't have a on my list. I got a Borson, I got a Dozier, I got a McKay, Michael McKay, Robert Stoll. Robert Stoll's the one who's actually in prison.
Okay. Man, you do have several names.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just don't want to. I'm hoping. I actually reached out to one of his companies, and they returned my email, so I know they're still running their scam. And so the other thing I'm trying to do is help put another guy away, or at least expose the scam so he stops ripping people off.
Yeah.
The first thing.
So what you're looking for from us more than anything is helping the people that pretty much got ripped off try to get their lives back to normal as far as kitchen-wise goes.
That's exactly right.
What you're looking for us?
Yeah. In exchange for that, we'll definitely get you some coverage. We will.
Man, I'm not worried about the coverage. All right, yeah, let's talk about it. I tell you what, I'm guessing by your number you're not local. You're not here in Pensacola.
I'm not. I'm in.
Are you making any trips into Pensacola where you could just swing by and talk to us face to face?
It's possible. It won't be It won't be within the next few weeks, but it is possible.
All right, let's plan that. Because I just don't like doing stuff over the phone without having a hand to shake, before moving forward.
Yeah, so. We are talking about felonious scams, so I get that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very easy to find. I'm a former travel show host. I have my media production company's called Legally Insane Films. We just released our latest documentary. It's won 6 awards so far in the film festival circuit. I'm very easily findable online. I'm also a former journalism professor. I've worked in newspapers and publications all over the world. I'm very easy to find. You go to IMDb, you'll find my name, and my name's spelled a little uniquely. I'll spell that for you. It's C Charlie YLE Charlie Yankee Lima Echo, and then my last name is O'Donnell, Oscar Delta Oscar November Echo Lima.
Okay.
You can go to kyleodonnell.com. You can go to legallyinsanefilms.com. You can just Google my name. I've got peer-reviewed journals out there all over the world.
I wouldn't mind being involved with helping. I'm not worried about the publicity or anything like that. Or, I stood in the showroom with people as they were crying about their lives being, destroyed pretty much.
Yeah. Well, that's why that's why we're talking right now. I felt the same way.
So, but all right, yeah. Next time you're in the area, come by and see me, and let's see what we can do.
Okay. If I can't make it because my schedule is probably just as busy as yours, is there an alternative? Can we meet online? If we can do a Skype, or we can do like the Zoom.
I haven't done any Skype or Zoom. So,
like I said,
I'll talk to Doug, and we'll just kind of kick things around, and let me get his thoughts on it too.
All right, keep my number and give me a shout when you guys discuss it.
All right, got it.
And you're Doug, right?
No, I'm Mike.
Oh, Mike. Okay. All right. I have 3 names in my head, so there's no Sean that works there, right?
There's not a Sean that works here at all.
Okay. Maybe Micah had worked with a couple of companies before she got to you. So, in any case, all right, Micah.
Who did you work with? Who are you talking about?
Micah is who gave me your contact information. All right. Okay. His name is Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that job.
Yep. She's a redhead.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I went to, actually, her family's known me before I was even born. Her dad.
See, that was back in 19 that we helped Sean.
That makes sense. Yep. So, all right. Well, yeah, do what you got to do. Give me a shout back. We'll set something up, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you on the phone. One more question. Since I ran into that problem of finding reputable cabinet companies that I might be able to work with, you don't have anybody you might be able to send me to, do you, in the event that you guys end up turning this down?
Yeah. Let me, I'll put some names together for you.
Okay. If you want to email those to me, my email address is, you can send me anything you want there.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just writing it down.
Yep. Take your time.
Gotcha, man.
All right, sir. I appreciate the help.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. That was interesting. He does seem to care. He just seems to be overworked, which makes sense. Probably a lot of work for those guys down in there in storm country. All right, so I guess we'll take it. We'll see what happens, and we will navigate the process from here. Hopefully, I can get a few other names of companies that might be able to help me out. Hopefully, they will be able to help out a couple of the victims. It might come down to money. Hopefully, there's nothing wrong with doing work for money, right? He's already given discounts to people, to Micah, and we'll see if we can get them some money for doing what they do, and everybody wins, right? All right. Until next time. That concludes our end of season bonus episode. As promised, here are the 2 snippets of our upcoming final 2 episodes of this investigation. We finally close out the season with people living behind the scenes of this case. Here they are.
After he was arrested for the car, that's when we found out all this stuff about the cabinets, and supposedly there had been a warrant out since May. I don't know that, but that's what we were told. I called over to the car lot to try to talk to the guy named Sam, which was the owner. I was trying to tell him, I was like, look, I don't know what happened with robbing this car, but if you will let me work something out, we'll pay you back for the car, we'll do something. He's like, well, maybe I wouldn't mind to do that, but this is out of my hands. He goes, I don't think you really know who you're married to. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, well, he pretended to open a store, and he's been going around stealing money from people and hadn't brought. I was like, I said, what do you? He's like, said he had a cabinet store. I was like, he did have a cabinet store. That was real. Well, no, I don't think you know who you're dealing with.
Every 30 days, they just kept coming to the house. Somebody wanted me in jail. They weren't going to rest till I was there. So they started having anybody have anything negative to say about me. write it up like it happened. As it happens, I ended up pleading no contest to all charges by my attorney's direction. But on the fourth time he came to the house, he went ahead and wrote me up for driving without a license. He didn't have any dash cam of me in the car, nothing. I mean, nothing at all. Just decided to write it because that was going to be the nail in the coffin. My attorney advised me to take the deal on driving without a license because it's a good deal, no jail time. He told him something already in jail. What's going to do? Well, get you a bond here. Get you back out on bond. I know he had to know that was not going to work. That was not going to work at all. I don't see how he didn't know that. But when I took the deal, he got me a bond hearing. Of course, the judge said he took the deal. He must be guilty. So he said that in open court, and I've been sitting ever since. Been sitting ever since.
Just a heads up there, the conversation does take a turn on our second interview where Robert gets a little paranoid and starts questioning my motives. If the remorselessness he exhibited in his first interview didn't reveal a lot about his character, the paranoia from his second interview probably will. For this week's vote, I want to know what you think the title of our next season should be. If you've been keeping up with the episodes, you should be familiar with Michael McKay by now. So this week's vote is, should I call season 2 A, Mad Michael's Millions, B, Grumpy Monkey, or C, some other title that you suggest? Send those votes or suggestions to thejusticepod@gmail.com. That's it for this episode. Thanks so much for joining us. Meet us right here next Tuesday to hear from Angela Bott. Small Town Justice is a production of Legally Insane Films, LLC. All rights are reserved. Until next time, I'm your humble host, Kyle O'Donnell. Go legal, but don't go insane.